Okay. Hi, I'm Cliff Jacobs from the National Science Foundation. We have one of the concept groups with us today, and they're going to give a brief demonstration of what they're up to. But first, let's ask the question, who are you?
Thanks. My name is Karen Stocks. I am an oceanographer working with the Cross-Domain Interoperability Concept Award.
That's great. And what have you been working on?
Well, the goal of the Interop group, as we call it, is to examine the challenges to scientists reusing data from outside their own discipline. So to do that, a scientist must be able to find the data that they're interested in. Are those data available in widely known catalogs? Those data must be accessible to them, ideally through documented services. The data need to have a known information model so that the scientist knows what they're working with. And they also have to have vocabularies or ontologies so that the meaning behind the data become clear, and in particular, the fitness for use. When you're working with data that's outside of your own domain, it's very important that you understand that you're using those data appropriately, that they have the right quality, the right characteristics for what you're working with.
Well, I know you've been working on this for a while. You have something to show us. Sure,
we'd be happy to. We'll get started first with one component of the project is that we've been developing an inventory or a catalog of different data resources. If you'll give us just a moment, we'll get that pulled up. So as that's loading, if you go to the Interop group, the X-domain group on the roadmap, there will be a link to the spreadsheet that you're just about to see, and we invite everybody in the community, if you have a data resource that you know of or that you work with, please come and fill that out for us. So what you see here is each row is a different information resource or organization who's making an information resource available. And we've described these information resources on four important axes. First of all, are they discoverable? Are they participating in any particular searchable catalogs? Second, are they following known vocabularies or ontologies so that the meaning behind the data are clear? Third, do they support particular services, particularly for access? And finally, is the information model behind them known and described? So again, please help us complete this. We're hoping to expand this into something that's more user-friendly, has a better front end to act as a resource for the community. So next, we'd like to show some of the work we're doing with models. It's very important that the entire EarthCube effort be driven by real science use cases. Now, of course, it takes quite a bit of time to collect the use case, so our approach for handling that is, in part, to use models as proxies for use cases. When somebody has developed a model to integrate data for particular purposes, it indicates that there is some science need behind that. So we've examined catalogs of different models. We've categorized them both by the domain with which they're in, but also by the other domains from which they were drawing data. So you can see here the thickness of the line. Each different color is a different home domain, and the thickness of the line to other domains indicate how many models are pulling data. So that helps us understand some of the priorities that we might be moving towards. Where are those data connections strongest, most important, perhaps which need more help. So we'll move on now to some of the use case work. In addition to the modeling aspects, I think I'll just move past this, we do have, and this is just showing that we have a fair amount of information behind that modeling example. You can drill down and categorize those models in a variety of different ways. So in addition, we are doing true use case work. We're not just using models as proxies. We have a suite of them. which are described better or more fully in the roadmap, so I invite you to look at that for full information. One of them is hypoxia in the Gulf of Mexico. Hypoxia is an area of low oxygen in the water. It happens seasonally in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's a major ecological and economic concern. So we looked at if you wanted to pull together data relevant to hypoxia, and this includes hydrology data on nutrient levels in streams, it includes physical oceanography, current patterns, temperatures, etc. in the water. If you wanted to pull those together, what would be the challenges you face? And the goal of this is to teach us in a real-world example what parts of that interoperability are difficult and what parts are easier. So we are currently pulling data from 3 main sources, USGS, EPA, and NOAA's NODC, and we've developed a small prototype portal to show how those data could be used together. Behind the portal is a scientific workflow that has actors that can communicate with the different data sources, query them, and another important aspect of the prototype portal here is that not just the data, but plots made of the data and also the workflows that are working with them become resources that are stored in iRods and reusable later. So I think if we can maybe now go to a little bit of a view of the portal. Yeah. So this is just a movie that shows our prototype portal in action. You can select an area of interest. Within that area, you can see the different data points drawn from the different sources. You get a little further information about each one. You can select ones that you want to plot. That's what's going on right now. And then once you've selected those data you want to plot, it's going to generate a plot of those. And again, the purpose of this exercise was not to create the best final portal ever. It was to go through that process of understanding where the challenges were. What are the aspects that need work? Where is new technology needed? You can see that there's a plot that's been pulled up on the right there. You can annotate that, you can give it a name, you can save that to come back later, and then you can further go on to create different plots or adjust that as interested. And so from this we've learned some of these data sources are accessible in a queryable web service, others needed to be downloaded and massaged in FTP, and it gives us the sense of where we need to go with these different community resources to create the kind of interdisciplinary interoperability that we're trying to build.
Thank you very much. That was a very interesting presentation for the Interops group.